Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan. Today we're going to be diving into two samples of Rio from Penelope. So Rio Batch 1 and Rio Batch 2, so that we can compare to see if the batches have changed at all as, Rio's coming back into season very soon. And you want to know, maybe is this something I want to pick up and go hunting for? So I actually did a video a couple of weeks ago listing out the bottles that I'm actively hunting in 2024, and on that list I included Penelope Rio. Next up is a bottle that I wanted to get in 2023, and I never got my hands on. From Penelope, the Rio bottle. So this is like on that amburana train, it was kind of like a big deal last year. Everyone was doing amburana finish stuff, which is a Brazilian oak. It's got a crazy flavor profile. Crazy. It's like all cinnamon, French toast. It's just a flavor bomb. And a lot of people, I think, in my experience, used amburana as a way of making a very flavorful whiskey that was young, that was youthful, that didn't cost them a lot of investment up front in terms of making the juice. It would almost be a shame to put like 10-year-old bourbon in an amburana cask to finish it, because all of the age and maturity that you get on a well-aged bourbon is going to get lost in the sauce with all the flavor that amburana is going to bring to the table. Now, some of them did it really well. I thought that Starlight's amburana cigar batch was actually pretty exceptional. And there's other ones, like RD1 did amburana finish as well, and that really kind of helped put them on the map because they came out of nowhere, they're very young, and then just suddenly they have a product that has a lot of flavor to it because they got on the amburana train early. But what Penelope's doing is a little bit different, right? So it's finished in amburana casks, but it's also finished in honey casks, and they blend the two together. So it's not just all amburana flavor bomb covering everything else up, like a heavy quilt on top of all the other bedding, you know what I mean? That's what amburana tends to do. So we're going to get maybe a little bit more complexity off of these than you do on a typical amburana finish. We got the honey, we got the amburana, we've got MGP juice that's between 4 and 6 years old in these glasses. The MSRP for Rio is going to be $90. Good luck finding it for that price. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. And the mash bill is quite interesting. It's 75% corn, 15% wheat, 7% rye, and then 3% malted barley. So that's the mash bill on this. So I'm gonna get these poured and we'll start comparing. Big shout out to Matt for sending me fresh samples of these two batches. Okay, so one of the things I'm noticing right up front here is that batch 2, it's not a lot, but it is a little bit darker. I don't know if the camera can really pick that up, but this one here is darker than this one here. This is 2. This is 1. So Penelope was recently acquired by MGP. MGP basically made them an offer, said, hey, we know you're using our stuff. We really like what you got going on. Can we buy you? Just make you part of our brand. They're like, yeah, sure, that's fine. So they made out like these in that deal, I think. Holy cow. I've had so many amburana finished products, but every time it's still right up front, just catches you so off guard. It's a kick in the teeth with flavor. I'm getting that hallmark French toast, cinnamon, sugar, maple syrup right up front. But unlike a lot of amburana products I've had, it's not like that thick blanket that covers everything else up. I'm also getting some other stuff in here. I'm definitely getting the honey finish as well. There's definitely honey very present on the nose here. But I'm also getting this I don't know what to attribute it to in the mash and the finish. I don't know what to attribute it to, but I'm also getting like a fruit note in there with the honey that really makes me think of a mead. I love a good mead. Yeah, on the nose, this basically smells like a breakfast mead. Honey, fruit, and then cinnamon. That's great. Let's try it. Holy cow, dude. I mean, it is jam-packed full of flavor, and nothing's missing. Tons of that cinnamon and spice. Tons of sweet syrup, honey coming through from start to finish, and then long into the finish as well. It's clinging, it's hanging on. But even though this isn't even 100 proof, it's 98, it just tastes so thick. Like that feeling you get when you literally just eat a spoonful of honey. Maybe you've got a sore throat or a cough, and you get a spoonful of honey and just gobble it straight down. Thick in there. Holy cow. Okay, going back in for like a fourth sip there. It's starting to peel those layers back. That heavy quilt that's laying on top of all the other bedding. We're starting to get to some of the thinner things underneath. Only after several sips am I starting to really be able to pick out that hallmark MGP bourbon in there. It takes sort of reacclimating your palate, sort of calibrating it to the amburana before you can start to pick those things out. All right, let's start to transition away from that one, and we'll try batch 2. We'll see how this product is progressing. All right, full disclosure, I just stepped away for like 5 minutes to let my palate come back down, because I'm gonna be real with you, this like blew it out. I went to sniff the second one and it just smelled like nothing to me, because this is just so much. Batch 1 was so much. I needed to sort of come back down to a baseline, because I felt like if I continued just straight into the next one, everything would be so muted and I would not have, you know, very accurate thoughts or notes to give on it. So I've stepped away. I had a glass of water, took a 5-minute break. Now I'm back, and we'll see if we can actually give this one a fair representation here. Batch 2, definitely the hallmark amburana notes in there. The cinnamon, the maple, very sweet. The honey's there. It's maybe a little bit more diminished than batch 1, but I'm not getting the fruit note I was getting on batch 1 that gave it sort of that thick mead kind of a feel to it, you know what I mean? This almost feels like after batch 1, they were like, okay, let's rein it back in just a little bit. Let's try it. Much more like oak tannins in there than on batch 1. Batch 2, the honey comes in later, much later. On batch 1, I got it right up front. Batch 2, it takes its time getting to the table. I'm also kind of getting like this, I want to say, a note that makes me think of an American single malt, like a Texas single malt. Those bitter dark chocolates in there, just kind of underneath everything. It's framing it, you know, it's not the start of the show. It's just there to accompany the rest of the vibe. I would say this does have maybe a more cohesive sense of identity to it, while this one, batch 1, was just like, here's everything all at once. And then this one was like, okay, let's kind of slow it down here. We'll let them go through the progression. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Man, I could see how people could go either way with these, but I'm going to give you my opinion. While batch 2 seems a little more tamed down, a little bit more under control. It's like this one was, they just let the beast out of the cage, and then they didn't know what to do with it. And then this one feels more like, okay, well, now I've got the equipment. Let's get the harness on this thing and try to bring it back down and keep it grounded. And so while batch 2 does feel like it is more grounded, I think I kind of prefer the wildness, the chaos, the sheer chaos of batch 1 with the honey and the fruit and the mead and the cinnamon. I think all of it just kind of all at once in your face. It lends itself to, I've got so many things that are just a nice cohesive package. You know what I mean? And you know what to expect from it every time. Sometimes you want something that's not timid, something that isn't tamed, something that isn't solved. And I think batch 1 kind of has that chaotic nature to it in a way that I kind of appreciate. Now, it does blow out my palate. I mean, there's no other way around it. It is a lot. I would never like follow this up with another pour of some kind unless I had a lot of downtime in between pours. Yeah, 100%. Going back in and revisiting it. Less of the tannic oaks, you know, the oak tannins, less in batch 1. And I don't get that bitter chocolate note either. The honey is way more prevalent, start to finish. Both of these are good. But if I had to pick my favorite, it would be the chaotic batch 1. So yeah, let me know, are you guys, are any of you planning on picking up some amburana finished bourbon this year? Did you try any last year? From what you've heard about it, is it something you think you're interested in? Let me know in the comments what you've had and what you're looking forward to. Big shout out to Matt for sending me these samples. I appreciate you, brother. Also, big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters who help to provide the funds for the bottles we pick up and review here on the channel. Really appreciative to all of you. I've got a few bottles coming in courtesy of you guys, and that means a lot to me. Hey, get involved in our Discord. Drop in, say hello. The link's in the description. Totally free. We'd love to hear from you and meet you, get to know you. And feel free to check out the link to the Patreon down there too. You can join for as little as $1 a month and help fund these bottles and support the channel. Cheers, my friends. That was a good one. May you live richly and get better with age. I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.